as well. Cool, cool. Alrighty then. This is the art of. Well, actually, you know what? Can't do that right now. I gotta actually hit record. Boom. Okay. This is the art of thought. Episode 11, recorded on September 26, 2018. To infinity and beyond. The art of thought is associated with the Helix Media Network. Website is coming soon. Website is almost done, so maybe by next week. Today we're going to talk about... Actually, you know what? Let me introduce myself. My name is Kwaku. For those of you who are new listening, today I'm going to talk about this idea of the future. Because as human beings, as the type of human being I am, I tend to think about the future often, like what's coming next, especially liking being cutting edge of just technology in general. In fact, I just want to announce too that starting in a few weeks or so, I will be starting a new show based on technology. So you can stay tuned for that. I'll talk about it more at the end, but stay tuned for a new show based on technology. But back to the topic at hand. I'm going to be discussing the idea not of transhumanism, because I talked about that in the past, but more of the future ideas, future technology. I love the idea of thinking about what's coming next, and human advancement. And in fact, the episode title was going to be human advancement. In fact, I have it right here, human advancement. But I decided to make it seem more interesting, to infinity and beyond. So the idea is this: in order for us to, as human beings, to get to the next level of advancement, in order for us to truly expand our horizons and get bigger, past the stars, discover new civilizations potentially, advanced our science. In order for us to do that, there's many things that we'll have to dive into in order to achieve that level. And one of the things that I am seeing that we're going to have to be doing, oh cool, you can see this here. One of the things that we're going to have to be doing is starting to work together. And another thing is also we are going to have to find a way to, I'm sure you've all heard, stop burning fossil fuels. And go to more renewable energy sources. In fact, I want to shout out a show that I've been watching on YouTube. It's called The Fully Charged Show. It's a really interesting show. He more talks about renewable energy, but he focuses a lot on cars, because cars are one of the biggest factors of renewable energy. Like, they are the ones that burn some of the most fossil fuels, since billions of people have cars. And if you convert cars all to electric, whether you love you hate the idea of but batteries are just as bad for creating batteries is just as bad for the atmosphere and for the earth as gasoline cars, combustion engine cars. Yeah, you can argue that, but the idea is just that creating these engines, whether it's a battery or whether it's a traditional gasoline engine, still burns quite a bit, for the factories. Unless the factory is a solar powered factory and it doesn't, for some reason, it doesn't have any kind of burning of fossil fuels, which I highly doubt any of them really do. It's better to not be creating engines that burn fossil fuels, but use fossil fuels to create them than to create. Let me rephrase that. It's better to create engines that do not burn fossil fuels, such as electric power, such as hydrogen power, and fuel cell, than to use fossil fuel powered factories to create more fossil fuel powered engines. It's better to do that. And with that, obviously, we would have, global warming, if you think it's a thing. global warming will actually, drop off quite a bit. And it's just, things will be a lot smoother. And so, like, that is one of the ideas, is that's how we get to infinity and beyond. That's how we get to the Star Wars style, life, sci-fi, what we call sci-fi style life. And so that is the idea of this. That is the idea of this episode. Is I'm actually I have a stuffy nose, so it's kind of hard to speak. But that is the idea of this episode. It is, how do we get to infinity and beyond? What are some ideas that people are trying to do to get to infinity and beyond? And just what kind of things can be achieved should we get to infinity and beyond? Should we get past all of these things that are hindering us? Part of the stuff is kind of difficult because we are human beings, and human beings love competition. Human beings naturally want to be better than others. That's just how it is. But in order to actually, good segue is that in order to actually get further, we actually have to work together. We have to stop wars. We have to do quite a bit of things. And so it just would help altogether if we could actually just, stop what we are doing and work together to achieve a greater purpose. And so I'm actually kind of distracted because I'm actually trying to type out this advertisement. But so one of the things that I'm bringing up is this. So where is this here? Advancement of humanity. This one's coming from, it says quad.live.universityofmichigan.edu. And actually, let me change this for those of you who are watching live. So let me zoom in a little bit for people to see it better. In fact, I can go to this mode, the distraction-free mode. And yeah, so it says here, it is estimated that the universe as we know it came into existence 15 billion years ago. The age of the Earth is estimated to be about 5 billion years. Hominoid ancestors appeared about 2.5 million years ago. Homo sapiens emerged about 40,000 years in the past, then surviving its Neanderthal cousins. The human species engaged mostly in hunting and gathering, scavenging until about 12,000 to 10,000 years ago, when the first agricultural settlements began to appear. A dramatic way of illustrating this oft-told story, which consistently changes in detail, though not substance, as new archaeological digs uncover new material. It's to start at the end of the blackboard and go all the way across the opposite end and add a point. So it says here that we know that marks the moment when the first human species occurs. So it says that we know, that doesn't make any sense, that we know all is part of human advancement, the advancement of humanity itself. It has been learned in the course of our evolution. The theory of evolution, as explained by Darwin, was biological in nature. His great work, Origin of Species, traced those ways, natural selection, and so on. So I'm going to actually fast forward a little bit. Let's see. Move down. They're actually telling the story of advancement. And I don't want to see that. I actually want to see this other thing. See, that's not what I'm looking for at all. So that didn't actually help me at all. But you can probably see, in fact, this link was supposed to work and it didn't load. These are not working at all. These literally are just not helping me. So I'm going to just go back and find the correct thing. But one thing is, we as citizens of planet Earth need to achieve certain things to advance to the next level. And one of the things I talked about in one of the last episodes, talking about transhumanism, you can take a look at that after the show, is that Michio Kaku, he's a theoretical physicist. He is a professor, and he talked about this types of civilization. I cannot spell. he talked about types of civilization. It's called the Kardashev scale. And let me click on the Kardashev scale. In fact, let me see this. This looks more interesting. Yeah, he pulled up the Kardashev scale, and I'm going to bring this up for you guys to see now. Okay. And what he said was the following. He said, a civilization that harnesses the energy of its home planet, but not its full potential just yet, is a Type 0 civilization. That is currently about 0.73 on the Kardashev scale. Hopefully I'm saying that name right. It is presumed that we will reach Type 1 in about 100 years, give or take, depending on how fast our technology advances and how diligently we procreate. So we're about Type 0 civilization. We are trying to harness the energy of our home planet, but we can't do it fully just yet. Type 1 civilization is the following. Says a civilization that is capable of harnessing the total energy of its home planet, so completely. This is where we're heading, whether we want it or not. The good part would be that we'd achieve an ultimate peak. The bad part is that we then soon have more energy demand than supply. Because evolution can't be so easily halted, we'd have to leave Earth and start pumping other planets for their worth, even milk our own star directly for power. So you can think about that. You think about that in a lot of sci-fi things you see. I'm not sure. Star Wars, not necessarily. Star Trek, not necessarily either. But you see that in a lot of fantasy, sci-fi style shows and everything like that. That they talk about. Oh yeah, you can see like they have spaceships that are going like light speed, warp speed across multiple planets. They can even go past wormholes somehow. That's super sci-fi. We can't do that really right now. And it's pretty cool. And then Type 2 is an interstellar civilization capable of harnessing the total energy output of the star. So basically, if we can harness the power not just of the Earth, but the total energy output of our sun, which is our nearest star, then we'd be a Type 2 civilization. It says this is the next stage of civilization and presumes a level of technological development that allows for gigantic constructions and utmost efficiency. Dyson structures come to mind here, which are gigantic constructs meant to harness the energy of stars. If you think about the Death Star in a way, kind of seems like a Dyson sphere, which is quite interesting on Star Wars. So one thing that you can see here is that I'm trying to think of whether if you've ever played the game Mass Effect. Mass Effect, the series as a series, is all super sci-fi. Obviously, you go through these little warp gates, to jump to other planets, other like solar systems and stuff. It's crazy. And they've gotten even further with it, even though the recent one wasn't very well received. They've been doing that for a while, and it's a very interesting topic to like think about. Space travel. It says, imagine a Type 2 civilization would not just build these megastructures, but also inhabit them completely control what goes on inside them. It would control the orbit of all planets in that system, harvest asteroids and comets at leisure, basically consume the entire solar system. An intimidating power to behold. So, kind of the Death Star, but not really. The Death in Star Wars, they can't control the gravitational power and like the orbit of planets. They can't do that. The planets are just there. My nose itches really bad. The planets are just there. And so Type 2 civilization is kind of, think about it, it's kind of like Star Wars in a way. Probably more Star Trek, even though they don't talk about, controlling the orbit of planets on there. Type 3 civilization is even crazier. You can see by this illustration, which looks pretty dope. I think this is under Type 2. Type 3 civilization is a galactic civilization. That's what you hear about Star Trek. Capable of harnessing the energy of the entire galaxy. Basically, you hear Star Wars in a galaxy far, far away. It says, here we start to venture into truly sexy science fiction territory. Or am I the only one? So they're just chatting. It says, a Type 3 civilization would span the entire galaxy, colonizing and controlling numerous systems. It would be able to harness, store, and use the energy output of all stars within that galaxy. Such a civilization Man, my nose itches. Such a civilization would use planets like building blocks, being able to move planets from one solar system to another, merge solar systems, merge stars, absorb supernovae, and create more stars. The galaxy is their own playground. Everything in it becomes a toy. Yeah. So it's really interesting when you think about it, because the difference between, the types we've talked about, type 0 being we're just trying to figure out what's going on Earth, on our local planet. We can't harness it, but we're just trying to figure out how to harness it. Type 1 being you can fully harness your planet's energy output. Type 2 being you can harness your nearest local star energy output. Type 3 being you can harness your entire galaxy's energy output, which is crazy. And then type 4 is a universal civilization capable of harnessing the energy of an entire universe. This civilization would be super galactic and be able to travel throughout the entire universe and consume the energy output of several, possibly all galaxies. Think of that real estate size. It would also be capable of projects like gargantuan proportions, such as manipulating space-time, tinkering with entropy, thus reaching immortality on a grand scale. It says an essentially indestructible and highly utopian civilization. Yeah, because once you can harness the power of an entire universe, our universe is huge. We haven't even explored even a tiny percent of it. Once you can harness the power and energy of the entire universe, you are set. You are quite good. That is, if not every planet on the entire universe all of a sudden has intelligent life that's using up all the planet's resources to the point where everyone needs more and you need to jump to a bigger level past universe. And the bigger level past universe, hypothetically, is type 4 civilization. It says a multiverse culture capable of harnessing the entire energy of multiple universes. And then it says, welcome to metaphysics. No doubt the child of increased popularity of string theory, the type 5 civilization would outgrow its own universe, would span countless parallel universes, and being able to manipulate the very structure of reality. It's crazy. Because if you think about it, another reference to that would be like, if you've seen the TV show The Flash on CW, they kind of chat about multiverse theory on that TV show. It's super fascinating, but it's also really dumb because it's a CW show. And multiverse basically being there's like a universe one, there's like a different Flash, and each character on, say, our universe has their own counterpart that might have done something else in another universe. It's almost like parallel reality in a way, where there's a parallel side of you. Whatever I did just now, like I just touched my nose just now, my counterpart on another reality would not touch my nose. You do the opposite. So there's multiple realities. I went to the gym today, and so coming back home, I drove back home. But my other, counterpart might go to the gym, but might walk home. Might not go to the gym. There might be multiple of me that did countless different activities, all opposite of the previous. And that's the idea of multiverse theory, which is crazy. So I don't know exactly what this can mean, multiverse theory. I think they're more talking about multiple universes like they say there. They're not necessarily talking about you will have a counterpart of you and everything else. That's like reality, parallel realities and stuff like that, which is crazy, much different. But in the Flash, they're able to actually visit their counterparts of other universes, of other realities. Like universe, they have a, what is it called? Earth 1, Earth 2, 3, 4, stuff like that. And they're able to visit the Earths of multiple realities, which is very different. But I guess when you're at this level, you might be able to actually figure out time travel if it was a thing. Type 6 civilization is getting more abstract because no one really talks about it. It says the type 6 civilization exists outside of time and space and is capable of creating universes and multiverses and destroying them just as easily. So let me just finish reading it. It says the concept to a deity. It's hard to imagine a story with such civilization, since its perfection and indestructible nature would offer a little conflict potential Unless, of course, you're a lower type civilization wanting to be chewed, swallowed, and digested by one such type 6 civilization monstrosity. So basically, you can think of this as a type 6 civilization being able to bend time and space, capable of creating universes, multiverses, and destroying them. And the idea of that would be very interesting. It's almost like you're a god at that point, where you can bend time and space at will. Because time is relative to where we are. Time might be different somewhere else, but as far as we know, time works in a certain way where we currently are at. In fact, it is really dark in here. Let me make sure I'm bright enough. Yep, I'm bright enough. So time works differently. Might work differently somewhere else. Time might work differently in outer space versus on Earth. So time might work differently on Mars than it does on Earth. People might see time in a whole different universe in a different way. They might not even know what time is. They're like, what is that? Time just is relative, just so that we can grasp a feel of things. So time is relative is what they say all the time. So that was just an interesting thing on the Kardashev scale. I actually like this website, Veronica Siko. So let me go back to the show. But yeah, so it's a very interesting idea when you think about it. Types of civilizations and things like that. Because to me, I would love to... I always tell my friends, and they always ask me why, I would love to meet an alien. I would love to safely, obviously, cryogenically freeze my body at like a near end life stage, or maybe near the end of life but still fully functional, fully flexible stage, to see the future. I would love to do that. That's a cool idea to me. I would love to do it. Donate my body to science. But obviously right now it's not practical because we can't do that. Right now, when you freeze your body like that, all of the blood, your heart, your muscles, everything stops moving. And so then your whole body just collapses at that point when you try to regenerate that. So it's not as practical as like watching the Flintstones and seeing that, Fred Flintstone can come back to life and he can all of a sudden just be perfectly good and like have a voice and everything, but he's just starstruck because there's so much craziness going on. So I love the idea of science. I love the idea of expanding my horizons on seeing how we can go further and further our humanity. It's very interesting. So what I'm going to jump to now is I'm going to actually bring up things on electric cars, because right now I am actually in the market for an electric car. And let me see something. I'm actually in the market of an electric car, and I really, really love the idea of not being off the grid and not having to pay power bills and not having to do a lot of things. So right now I'm just going to name some cars that we probably know of that are supposedly coming out, and some car, a specific car mostly, that we all know of. Ooh, this is a nice looking car. It's like a Golf. So here it is. So what I'm going to be talking about here is electric cars. So electric cars, the idea of electric car is that you no longer use gasoline, so you don't have to go to the pump. You can just charge your car at any plug. How much wattage, how much output that the plug generates, current it generates, will determine how fast your car recharges. And how much watt hour your car has will determine how long it takes as well. Because if your car is a long-range car, you can go much further, but it'll also take a lot longer to go from 0% to 100% battery life. So the idea of electric car is that you have instant torque, and torque is like when you put your foot on the gas and you go, how long does it take to reach a point? how long does it take to accelerate to a certain point. Usually the metric is 0 to 60 miles per hour or 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. And a lot of car makers nowadays are also coming out with electric cars and alternate fuel cars and things like that. And I'm also thinking of the idea of solar energy too, because one thing that is very expensive right now that I would love to have is, a solar panel on your roof. It's going down in price, but solar panel on your roof so you're off the grid. You charge your car at home and you go out and do your thing, come home, charge your car. You're not having to pay money to the electric company because you're generating your own energy. So you're pretty much off the grid completely, other than like your water and everything like that. But eventually we'll come to that point where we can generate our own water, clean water, and then we're completely off the grid. So here I'm seeing, I'm looking on electrek.com. It was just posted on the 24th of September, 2018. It says Volkswagen's affordable electric car to be offered in 3 battery configurations starting at $30,000, report says. Now, I don't know if this is actually the concept of the car. It looks like what I'm seeing is it says it's a red car, and it kind of looks like a Golf to me, but it kind of looks like a mix with the Golf and something else. It's got no grill because there's no intake air needing to come in. It's just a battery. It says Volkswagen is expected to launch an electric car based on the ID concept, the Volkswagen Neo, next year. It's expected to be the Volkswagen Group's first mass market affordable electric car. It'll start around $30,000. So basically, it'll cost the same amount as a Model 3. Now, what I need to know is how much the range is going to be. And it says last year, Volkswagen claimed that it will have an NEDC rated range of 400 to 600 kilometers, or roughly 250 to 375 miles, which is actually perfect for like me, because I'm just traveling across my state, which is huge, of Virginia. That's going to be good enough for me if I can find a power, like a supercharger that will charge it up in like 2 minutes. That'd be great. This is depending on the battery pack configuration, of course. It says Christian Sanger, Volkswagen's head of public line for e-mobility, updated its numbers based on the accurate WLTP range via AutoExpress. And it says here, the entry-level car will have a WLTP range of 330 kilometers, or roughly 205 miles. It will also have it'll have more limited performance, but if people want a faster car, then I don't want them coming back after 3 months telling me that it's fast, but that the range is short. So if you want a faster car, you'll need a bigger battery. Simple. So that's roughly 25,000 euros, or roughly $30,000 for the entry-level version, which is the same cost as an entry-level Model 3. It'll be offered with 7.2 kilowatt hour and 11 kilowatt onboard chargers for level 2 charging, and the DC fast charging capability will support a rate of up to 125 kilowatts. Volkswagen mentioned both 2019 and 2020. Previously at both 2019 and 2020, but now AutoExpress said that it should be revealed the last quarter of 2019. And they're planning a capacity of about 100,000 electric cars per year at their Zwickau plant. So that's one of the companies that is doing electric cars, and another one that's doing electric cars right now is obviously Tesla. Now we have Tesla and their entry-level cars, which is the Model 3, which is roughly $30,000. And the only problem with that is that you can't buy it for $30,000 right now, because they just haven't made those. People aren't buying those right now. So going at the Model 3 right now, I'm not going to look at the Model S necessarily right now, but the Model 3 is all-wheel drive. It can go roughly 310 miles per range and 0 to 60 in about 3.5 seconds, which is quite amazing, with instant satisfaction of torque because it's an electric car. It doesn't have to like wind up. So we see the Model 3, quick acceleration. It's all-wheel drive, which is really nice. It's got all the sensors and craziness for autopilot. It's got really minimalistic styling and everything like that. And it's very interesting, because compared to gasoline cars right now, unless you pay a lot more money, you don't get the instant satisfaction of 0 to 60 time of being that short. It's mostly like around 7 seconds for most cars. Another thing that usually happens is that, you have to charge it, not charge it, but you have to fill it up quite a lot. And obviously, the one thing I heard multiple times is that what's happening with energy right now is gasoline prices, even though they're down right now, most of the time they're usually growing. Gasoline prices are going up, even from the 90s, they've gone up, obviously. Whereas electricity used to be a lot more, and now it's actually going down. So actually, in the end, when you are in the future, say 15 years from now, electricity is going to cost a lot less than it does now, whereas gasoline might go up. And possibly electric cars, maybe they might come up with some other standard, is going to be easier to afford and easier to charge and do everything. So it's a very, very interesting concept about electric powered cars and where it can take us. Because if you don't have to burn any fossil fuels, all you're doing is charging with electricity, which is most of the time will probably be generated from the sun because of solar panels. Maybe in the future, most people will have solar panels that work just as durable as regular roof cladding. Who knows? So that's the interesting concept of, we need to get further. We need to stop our current antics and move further in order to advance. One thing that does burn a lot of fuels, and you almost never will have probably an electric powered tank, wars. We can't have wars really anymore. We'd have to work together more in order to achieve a greater purpose. But as humanity, we are very competitive. We like to one up other people all the time. We like to compete. We like to say we own more than you. And that's part of the reason why we have wars, is because someone wants to be more powerful than the other person. But with that, you produce these more crazy fossil fuel burning machines, which are tanks and other military things, which are usually not even close to efficient in any way. And once those are out of the way, that's another big thing gone down. And then we get to everyone working together to use what people learn normally for war antics. They can put it towards something else, something greater. And that's what I hope will happen in the future. I'm obviously only 25 years old, so I'll be around for hopefully at least, hopefully at this point, at least 80 more years, maybe 70, if I'm lucky, But health is also improving too. So I just want to leave you guys with the idea of the future. What do you guys think is going to be, guys and girls, ladies, think will happen in the future? How will technology be? Technology is roughly doubling. The advancements in technology are happening twice as fast as they happened in the past, and they're doubling every year, every year or two. So the iPhone came out in 2007, and already it shifted the landscape of how things are. Whether you like Apple or not, it shifted the landscape of how things are. Devices are getting more slate-like. They're getting thinner. Most devices now look pretty much exactly the same. They all trying to look like the iPhone because the iPhone is that luxury brand, quote unquote. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. You can drop an email for the Art of Thought podcast at helixtv@outlook.com, and soon to come the website helixmedia.com is coming soon. If you go to it right now, it'll just show like a maintenance page that a new experience is coming soon. You can please subscribe on Spreaker, SPREAKER.com, and just search for Helix Media. All the notes and everything that I looked at will be in the description, and the show notes will be below, as well as on the website, so you can always stay tuned for whatever's coming next. So I'm gonna send off. My name is Kwaku. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will talk to you guys next week.